some big things about that new Final Fantasy 16 demo. Yeah, it's really pushing boundaries for how much content can be given out for free. Demos are cool. It's effectively the best marketing you can do. Shame a PS5 is still as rare and pricey as finding quality content on Netflix. It's funny though, it does remind me of the best demo I have ever played. The original DS pack-in cartridge, Metroid Prime Hunter's First Hunt. Oh yeah, that was so much fun to play on release day. It showed off some amazing pre-rendered cutscenes and had some great 3D gameplay for the DS on day one. But what did that matter when the actual game didn't release alongside it? Or in the next few months? Or even the next year? Metroid Prime Hunters took 2 agonizingly long years to finally release, long after everyone forgot about that disposable pack-in demo. 2 years! And to make matters worse, it came out with little to no announcements or fanfare. I'm convinced Nintendo is self-sabotaging their own Metroid marketing. Why is nobody buying my Metroid games? This demo was amazing! And once the main game finally rolled around, it was just meh. But come on, it's a full 3D Metroid Prime spin-off game for the DS! Not even the 3DS. This thing is pushing the original hardware to its limit. By the time it came out, the people who remembered it were already anticipating the imminent release of Prime 3 because nobody so much as heard about Prime Hunters until long after it released, and they stumbled across it rotting in the bargain bin. I'm a little annoyed by this. As good as this demo is, releasing it at launch was probably a mistake. When it comes to marketing Metroid, mistake is Nintendo's middle name. Nintendo mistake though? Can we please just talk about the game now? I know you love money, Nintendo, so why you gotta be so against selling your own games? We get it! How are you so greedy and stupid? Not to bring this up again, I swear they're different. The demo First Hunt had a multiplayer mode and 3 short single-player campaign missions, my favorite of which being survival mode, something we've never seen before in the series, and as of now, we've never seen since, including in the full Prime Hunters release itself. Unfortunately, the only aspect of the demo that made it into the full game was the absolute disaster of the control options. There are 5 control schemes. Well, technically 3, but 2 have left and right-handed options, so I guess 5 if you're ambidextrous. You know something's wrong with your game when you have 5 control schemes. I can confidently say that not a single one of these plays or feels right. Each one feels awkward for different reasons, utilizing the touchscreen as part of your controller and not as, you know, another screen. So once you decide on a control scheme that feels the least awful with minimal carpal tunnel, you can get into the actual campaign or multiplayer if you manage to find another human being who bought this game, much less realize it even existed. I hate to say this, but this is probably the weakest Metroid game I've ever played. The campaign does play similarly to the mainline Primes, however without most of the cool items and upgrades you find along the way. Isn't that the part that's supposed to make it a Metroid game? Yes, but instead we get new weapons that kinda sorta act like your old upgrades, unlocking more of the maps. And that's another thing. We have multiple planets with their own maps for the first time. Now, most of these maps are pretty linear and they aren't nearly as involved as any of the ones you're used to, but at least it adds long loading screens between moving from one map to another. Fair, but honestly, all I remember with the gameplay was frustrating controls, uninteresting linear design, and lots of one-on-one bounty hunter mini-bosses akin to generic first-person shooters and not at all like Metroid. You know, there's not even traditional boss monsters outside of 2 or 3 robotic shoot-the-big glowy target sequences. Do you actually hate a Metroid game? The demo survival mode is really fun! Why'd they make a demo when the main game was nothing like it? By modern standards, this game looks absolutely hideous, but at the time I swear these multi-screen pre-rendered cutscenes were undeniably the best on the market. It was really good at playing those MP4s. Coming from the Game Boy Advance, this really showcased the power of the DS by comparison. And the actual gameplay was impressive enough to, you know, actually function. Yeah, the design quality was hit or miss, but I gotta agree, for a DS title, it's quite impressive graphically. Also, it's a Prime spin-off, so it technically stole all of its aesthetics from the GameCube. Looks passable enough for copying someone else's homework. Bear with us here, this is about to get stupid. So Prime Hunters is set between Prime 1 and Prime 2 for some reason, and honestly it doesn't even really matter. And prepare for a lot of bizarre plot decisions from Nintendo STC, the pinch hitter dev team, as Retro is hard at work making Prime 3. So if this sounds like a plot from someone who has absolutely no idea what a Metroid game is, then keep in mind that's basically true. So out in the middle of galactic butt-sucking nowhere, a telepathic message beams out into everyone's brains claiming that, quote, "the secret to ultimate power lies in the Olympic cluster. Which, in case you're wondering, yes, that's just totally made up spacey-wacy words and not a real place in Metroid or real life. And also the most obvious trap ever. I mean, what kind of sad parasitic bottom feeder of a life form would actually fall for something so blatantly dumb? So the Galactic Federation thinks this is definitely real. Of course it was the government. And Samus Aran is tasked with hunting down whatever the heck this supposed ultimate power is and bringing it safely to them for money. I'd say they at least got the bounty hunter part right, but there's also a random crew of actual bounty hunters who also believe this telepathic snake oil salesman without question, and all decide to kill each other over whatever awaits them at the end of this cosmic Easter egg hunt. Now you do get to scan log entries to learn about the extinct Olympic race, similar to how it worked in Prime, to add some extra lore to this silly fetch quest, so I guess that's a welcome addition. The story is mostly tying together your interactions, or well, fights with these other hunters over the artifacts needed to open the next door in this series of goofy space escape rooms. And I don't mean they argue their morals and ideals before clashing, I mean they just shoot you on sight. The only story you get out of these clowns is from the manual, unless you count that wordless intro cutscene that basically tells you nothing but their names. So obviously not a single one of them matters in the story. Like, not even a little. Though one of them is a silicon-based life form, and that's at least a neat little tidbit of lore that never gets fleshed out or goes anywhere. See, look, I was serious. They only exist to provide easy-to-program boss fights and let Samus take their weapons, the most annoying of which is Psylux, who fires a constant stream of lightning that auto-targets you and constantly drains your HP as he fires and backs away and dodges your shots, healing him the entire time. It doesn't help that we're playing with a freaking touchscreen trying to aim and fire at this jerk who's packing a no-effort I-win gun, and the manual has the audacity to call this spammer a talented sharpshooter. So eventually, after enough of that, everyone seems to find the source of the message all at once, a lost prison ship called the Oubliette, hidden away in another dimension, holding the dangerous Goria, responsible for broadcasting the brain message, hoping to lure enough strong, gullible idiots to its location and involuntarily free it from its prison. It was a trap! So after Samus plays a few rounds of the Simon Says color game with it, she acquires the Omega Cannon, a weapon so powerful it's the only thing capable of harming Goria. So she blows the crap out of that guy alongside the entire ship, because of course she does, and that's it. She just kind of goes home. Wait, so there actually was an ultimate weapon, and it happened to be the only thing that the imprisoned message sender was weak to? Yes. And it never thought to use it for itself to blow up the ship and escape, you know, considering it clearly was strong enough to do so because it only works for Samus's suit. But hold on, it wasn't made by the Chozo, was it? Nope. What even is this story? Did Samus even get paid for this? Not that we know of. Wow, even in space, contract workers are getting cheated based on technicalities. Wait, but doesn't she have an ultimate gun now? Yeah, no. Why? I don't know, she probably lost it at the beginning of Prime 2 anyway. This is so dumb! You know, I liked the story better in the demo. Me too, there wasn't one. Well, it's got this uncomfortable DS twangy speaker thing going on, but it's still kind of a Prime soundtrack, just, you know, not at all made by the same people and kind of sounding a bit underwhelming. Yeah, I can't really forgive all the droning monotonous tracks for when you're just exploring and not in combat. The base Prime games do an amazing job all around for music and combat and exploration, but this game only shines in the former a little. How else can I say this other than all the good tracks sound like rip-offs of the Prime soundtrack and all the new stuff sounds like a loop of the same 6 muddy notes continuously. I had to be really careful with the songs I chose to play in the background this time, so you didn't just think I had a really loud AC unit running in the room instead of an actual soundtrack. Call me crazy, but I think I liked the demo even better. Me too! Now, this is gonna sound crazy, but this game was actually Nintendo's attempt to compete with Halo and draw in a new audience from the series. Setting aside how obviously fruitless that was, my point here is that this game wasn't designed to be a quality single-player experience, but instead hinged on its multiplayer to try and create a Halo for Nintendo. Look at this dinky little snippet on the back of the box talking about the single-player campaign shoved in the bottom right corner like it's a total afterthought. I can cover the whole thing up with my finger. This game was mostly a marketing experiment by Nintendo that failed pretty hard. You gotta be seriously out of touch with Metroid to think that people liked the Prime series because it had shooting in first person. Even if you call those games first-person shooters, you're totally missing the point. At least with the multiplayer, you and your opponent are on equal playing fields, trying to constantly strafe and fire ping pong balls back at each other with the worst set of controls known to the genre. That may not be fun, but at least it's fair. Should have played the real DS Prime spin-off instead. The positive gamer in me is having trouble expressing my deep disappointment for Metroid Prime Hunters, settling with a 3 out of 10. The demo was really cool. It made the long wait for the game seem unbearable, until it was inevitably forgotten. And by the time I finally got around to give the main game a whirl, I ended up wishing I hadn't. The critical gamer in me has to admit that Metroid Prime Hunters is at least a 4 out of 10. Every aspect of this game is objectively inferior to the main series, but considering all it's setting out to accomplish on the original DS, I can't help but feel at least marginally impressed. So what do you think? Let us know how your positive and critical sides rate Metroid Prime Hunters, and more importantly the demo, in the comments below. And with that, I'm gonna broadcast a little brain blast to you.
Even after I just dropped a hot steamy dookie on my beloved Metroid?
Then you're just playing with yourself.
It's a trap!
I really had no idea what to draw for the whiteboard this time. I've already done like 3 different Metroid Prime games already, and then there's more to come on top of the 2D Metroid games. So I've just got like a bunch of games like sitting in front of me like, what am I supposed to be drawing again? Like I've done this so many times. So yeah, if you weren't expecting Admiral Akbar to show up in this episode, there you go. So yeah, that's how dumb this story was. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more, and use the links in the description to nominate your own episode. And thank you to all of our Patreon members, Aspen, Arrow, Sid, Gino, and Laura. I said Gino. No, Genio, not Gino. Super Mario RPG's on the brain. Never mind. See ya!